Welcome, Steve.
How are you, Michael?
How are you? Very well.
Yeah,
What's
welcome,
sweet, so-
Steve.
No, I'm all right.
Fish.
I'm all right.
Well,
Fruit.
Yes, oh, nice. Smelly, they are.
What we all been up to? Anything this week? Any football, Steve? Your team?
No,
Eddie Howard? He
we've
wasn't
turned
under
round.
pressure, hasn't he? But
No, he wasn't. I don't think he was.
where does that nonsense come from?
Yeah, just a modern cricket football supporter, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, the modern supporter wants instant success. I mean, the Eddie Howe one is he's been a manager at Newcastle for 4 years. We were in the doldrums. We were on our way back to the Championship, 19th in the Premier League. We've done. Nah, I'm all right. He's been in Champions League twice. He's had 3 directors of football, 3 chief execs, and you know, we've had a few bad results. I mean, he's brilliant for me. I think he's a brilliant manager, but he's also a brilliant person. And I mean,
Seems a nice bloke.
he's a really, really nice guy. I mean, I get to interview him after each home game that I do.
You're still the TalkSport
Still do the reporting.
correspondent for Newcastle.
Yeah.
Is that the title?
I think so, yeah. I tell you what's happening. I mean, I get some stick about what you got a cricketer doing that for, but I'm like, I don't talk tactics or anything like that. I tell you what, you're listening in the car, you're listening in the garden, and I tell you exactly what's happening. Trippier's run down the wing, he's crossed it, Isaac scored, Murphy's crossed it, Isaac scored. 1-0 Newcastle. That's it. I'm not there to give me
Doesn't
tactics.
Isaac play for Liverpool?
He plays for Liverpool now. Well, he plays for Liverpool now, but he's
injured,
not.
isn't he?
He's injured.
Hey,
Yeah.
I played against Steve.
You did.
Yeah, what that was
it the match thing?
The match thing. You
Yeah.
put in a couple of great crosses. I was
The
keen-
what?
was it? It was the ant and deck
It was
thing.
yeah, it was the match. Remember, Sky One did the match.
That's it.
The hilarious thing with that one was
Yeah, was it?
you're
Stewie did it. Stewie did it the year
That's
before,
right,
didn't he?
that's right.
So they did this game at St James's Park. It was a bunch of celebrities against retired footballers, wasn't
Yeah.
it? And they trained for a week at St James at Newcastle
brilliant.
training ground.
Yeah.
And then they played at St James's Park, 40,000 people.
That's right.
And I was training. Remember, we'll come on to the Newcastle training. I was training Newcastle at the time. It was the day before we flew to the West Indies in 2008, 9 or something like that. And the day before, Terry Mack was in the corridor, and he went, "How many do you want to play football tomorrow?" I was like, "Yes, I would." He's like, "When do you go away?" I went, "Tomorrow." He went, "No, you're probably better off not doing it." No, I want to play. So we went up the road, and I went on a sub at half-time with Dean Saunders and Graham Souness. They were the 3 substitutes, me, Dean Saunders, Graham Souness.
Sat on the bench with Soon.
Well,
This were on Sky.
it was...
Yeah.
Where were you?
It was
What's going on?
It was in the, this. So they trained for a week, but in the middle of the week, they had a friendly against Newcastle United. It was international break.
What?
It was basically just the young kids that played. But I think the story as it went was Craig Bellamy and Graham Souness had fallen out the week before.
Oh, that was it. Yes.
The week before.
Yes.
When Bellas got dropped, and Graham said he was injured, and there was a lot of hoo-ha. And I think it was Dave Jones, who was on Sky Sports News at the time, was making light of it and making fun of it. And as we were walking over to the academy training ground, somebody had mentioned to the gaffer, he went, "That's him that was taking a mick out of you on Sky Sports." And Graham Souness wasn't scheduled to play. He told Kipman to go and get his boots, and he went on at half-time.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Dave Jones
And
came
crunched-
off.
and
He
crunched
the
Harvey.
DJ, wasn't it? Harvey, yeah.
Crunched Harvey.
It was hilarious. I mean...
Who was your back four protecting?
Paddy McGuinness. Who else did we have?
He got Harvey, because I remember I was playing with Peter Ramage, the young lad, played for Newcastle, played for QPR, great lad, and Robbie Elliott. And I said, "Oh, what foot is the manager?" Because when I was at Newcastle, I never ever trained football. I was in the gym, never went outside. I never wore Newcastle kit. I earned the right to wear the crest, and I always wore my own kit. And I played in this game, and I said, "Oh, what foot's the gaffer?" And they were like, "He's right-footed." So I played one on the instep, got it wrong. He's controlled the inside of his sort of right foot and pinged it with his left foot. And I've looked at him, and I thought he said he was right-footed. So they're like, looking, and then the next one I've give it to him on the wrong side again. He's controlled the inside of his left and pinged it with his right. And I was like, he's both-footed.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a scary...
He was scary, man. One of the best. I loved the...
we loved each other.
Great man.
Yeah.
He was so good to me because I thought my days at Newcastle were coming to an end, training there. And then one of his first days, he said, he introduced himself, and he said, "You know, the senior players here say you're all right, so if you want to continue training here, you can continue." I was like, yes, please, thank you. It was brilliant. Yeah,
Lee Boyer played.
Lee Boyer played, yeah.
Yeah.
How many did you concede?
Oh, no, 6 or 7.
Any saves? Any saves, though?
Shola played, Michael Chopra played,
Yeah,
Shola played,
yeah.
Rami.
Yeah.
We must have fun.
Rob
Let's
Elliott.
have some footage of that. Kieran,
It was...
Yeah.
get footage of that.
What goalie gloves did you have?
Oh, sport.
Phil Tufnell.
Did you have your name on it?
Yeah, PT.
Did you
really?
Stewie played the year before. Stewie played the year before, got man of the match at St James's.
He could play, Stewie.
Stewie played centre half. He played.
Yeah, he could play.
Where did that? Obviously, you're from that neck of the woods, but where did that football love come from then? Because you really are into it.
I had no interest in playing cricket. I mean, I didn't know anything. My cricketing career was like a whirlwind at start because I played for Northumberland under 17s against Durham under 17s, and that would have been in the middle of August, early August, and within three and a half weeks of that game, where I was just a schoolboy cricketer, I'd gone from playing 2 second team games, Scarborough Festival when Simon Brown got injured, and that was the first time I'd played against you, and you got 100. And then I went into my first class. I think the first 4 games I played against Vaughan, he got 100 in each one.
Did he really?
I reckon I played against you in your debut.
That was my first team game, adult game.
That was at Chestnut Street, wasn't it?
No, that was...
Was that not a one-day game at Scarborough?
Scarborough was a one-day game.
That'd have been the Tilcon Trophy or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Would you still be in the Lancs lad?
Yeah.
Yorkshire.
Yeah, it probably would have been.
I
mean, that was a
got
bizarre
some real
game.
stick for being from Manchester.
It was a bizarre game. I bowled me 10 overs straight at the start. I think Yorkshire got something like 360 or 48 overs, and I'd bowled 10 overs for 36.
Oh, nice.
I got them in.
Yeah.
Before we get started, I'd like to thank our partners, Betfair. So just hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Enjoy the show.
I don't know. Why am I crying? I've got money in my pocket. I'm one of the best cricketers in England.
Yeah.
One of the best cricketers in the world. And I've got no idea what's going on.
I always thought you'd always do everything else for anyone else, but you wouldn't do it for yourself.
And he said, this is your room, the door. He puts the key in, push the door, and the whole lot fell. It's not on hinges. Oh, right.
Would you be interested in that role?
I think
Good
I've
shout.
tried twice. I think that ship's probably sailed for me. He took a malaria tablet,
Stuck on his nose.
sneezed, and it went that way. he was like that with his, he was dissolving it with water, and I'm thinking, what chance have we got? Whoever's decided that is a good plan to go into the first test match is negligent. I'd gone from playing half a dozen cricket matches a summer because football season and then starting the football season to that. So my love was football, and then 8 weeks later I was in Pakistan. And Pakistan for England under 19s. Within 10 days of that, I was knocking on Fred's door at 3 o'clock in the morning as captain going, I'll go home, I can't handle this. And that Pakistan trip scarred me for life on touring. And my touring days after that...
What year was that?
96.
96.
So
Were you on that tour?
No,
No,
I was
it was
on
under
the
19s.
8th tour, yeah. That year.
So that under 19 trip, I was a year younger. So Fred was captain, Ben Holyoke, Alex Tudor, Swanee was on it, I think. Swanee would have been on it. David Sales, Chris Reed.
Players.
Good players, good team, good players. And then that sort of having to go home from there, and that started a bit of a spiral into where my mental health would turn for the worst. And that always had a ramification on my early part of whatever tour I went on from there, when everybody was like, Bumble was commentating, NASA would commentate, we go, he haven't started very well, he's underprepared, he's not got the overs in, all this stuff. And I used to use that as a crutch and used to be happy when people were saying that. Because the underlying issues with the sort of depressions, the clinical depressions I had, and the anxieties of going away from home, and the anxieties of being on tour, and not being able to train to the level that I could from, for the first sort of 7 to 10 days, would always mean that I would start tours.
Well, do you go back to 96 when you go to Pakistan, you're all right getting on the plane?
Yeah,
You're fine getting on.
Did you know any of the lads there?
it was an adventure. No, I'd been to Lilleshall 3 times.
And didn't know really anyone?
What was it, those first, no, Pakistan's quite a tough place to tour anyway, because there's not a lot happening away from the cricket,
You'd
is
been
there?
out Newcastle, what?
I'd been Al Qudiyah twice.
Right.
my whole life. I'd been on holiday twice in my whole life. I had no idea what I was walking into. I didn't know idea about cricket. I didn't know anything about touring. So nothing against Pakistan. I didn't have any idea what Pakistan was going to be like. And the shell shock of being there, I think, had a scar on me for the rest of my tour. For my early touring days, as in getting on a plane, the anxieties of 3 days before. I mean, I wrote in my book, there was times where we were going on tour and I'd be wanting my car to crash going to the airport because I'm thinking I can get an extra 3 days at home. This is the stupid things were going on in my mind about touring, about leaving home, about not wanting to be away from the family and not wanting to be away. And then when you got to the destination you got to, for 7 to 10 days, once that period went over, the anxiety, the hyperventilating, not being able to speak. I mean, the one tour though, which, and this is where I can rabbit, so apologies if I keep going on about it. But it's like why Trez will always be a hero to me. Not because he was the best player, one of the best players that I played with, but he was the one that said, I can't do this anymore. I was that person. I'll keep telling myself I didn't want to be that person. Trez, when he went home, and he started his career, when Trez went home, I was like, you lucky bastard. You're the one that's done it. Because going into that South Africa series, and remember, we first test match in Port Elizabeth, I remember me and Kurt Russell went to this breathing specialist. We hit it from most people, and of what I was going through. I mean, because we were at altitude, and it was even harder to breathe and harder to train. I wasn't training. Fletcher kept sort of talking about me, trying to get me a little bit more. And I remember the rugby field over the back of Wanderers, where the nets are.
Yeah.
And we were doing sprints down the side, and I was like pulling off. There was like a stand on the side. I'm pulling off, and Kurt come up to me and he was like, he was injured. I was gone, I was physically crying, and I had no idea. No. And there was times throughout the build-up to tours. I remember being in Disneyland Paris in a restaurant, having to turn away from the two little ones at the time, going away the day after we landed. And I'm sitting there crying my eyes out, and I've got no idea what's wrong with me. I've got no idea. I'm sitting there to Haley, and I'm like, I don't know. Why am I crying? I've got money in my pocket. I'm one of the best cricketers in England. Yeah. One of the best cricketers in the world. I'm going on a tour to South Africa, and I've got no idea what's going on.
Do you now know what was going on? Yeah.
I was diagnosed with sort of clinical depression, and a lot of the anxiety stuff came from, I think it came from that first tour. And the more and more I do this mental health show on Talk Sport, and the more and more I talk to people, sports people who have had troubles, I get more and more of an understanding of what was the matter with me, and which I think is great. I wish I knew it at the time, but these times where I was physically upset and I've got no idea why. I'm sitting here, and all of a sudden it's just coming. I was like, I can't stop.
How much of that to do with like the actual kind of the expectation of performance?
I think it's quite a bit.
But
even now,
because Trez is kind of, if you think about Trez, I think said, wrote in his book, it's a performance related.
Yeah.
Because he obviously gets on the plane now as a coach.
I still get on the plane, but for 2 or 3 days leading into it, I'm like, I don't want to go. And for the first few days I'm out there, I have this, I still have the anxiety.
When you're commentating?
What, still now?
Yeah. But it goes quicker because I've not got the added pressure of what you're saying is going on to play. And that I think hampered me at the start of, and that, to finish off on that South Africa trip, I remember saying to Kurt, we went to this, we went to this breathing specialist. I'm lying on a bed. It was like a comedy sketch. I'm lying on a bed. There's smoke going everywhere. There's this woman telling us to breathe. I'm trying not to hyperventilate, and I'm lying there thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? I'm like lying, this is mad. And I had the choice, and I was saying, I go that way to Port Elizabeth. 2004. I go that way to Port Elizabeth. I continue to go that way in Johannesburg, and I get on the arrivals, Newcastle, destination, Newcastle, and I'm going home. If I go home, all the stuff with Trez comes, and at the time I was the #1 ranked bowler in the world, and I had no idea. I averaged 79 with a ball and 40 with a bat on that trip, and I still think that's my biggest success of getting through that trip, because that was the closest I was to me going home and calling it a day.
Yeah. What, from cricket in total?
From cricket in total. Because I was at a point where if I can't go away from home and can't perform away from home, it means I can't play for England. If I can't play for England, what the fuck's the point of doing it?
What could have been, looking back, what could have been done, to have eased that in those days? You know what I mean? What, you know, talking to people or...
It's a great question, Kat. I think in a lot of sports, in all sports, having done this show with Leon McKenzie, in that time, and even the time before, in sort of Bumble's time, if you went to somebody in management with that issue, you would have easily got moved on. I think up until Marcus, this is why he's a hero. When he came out and said what he said and did what he did, I think it made the world of sport look up and go, right, there is issues. There is a problem. There are these underlying problems in there, and it's not a weakness. It's an illness. For me, it's a silent illness that nobody really knows, and people are frightened to understand. And I think until Trez did what he did, I think a lot of people in a lot of sports treat it as a man up, get on with it. What are you on about? You got money, you're playing for England, you're doing this, that, and the other. I think that's the worst.
How did you go when you're moving out to Newcastle to play in the UK?
I was fine.
No problem.
No problem at all. That's why I go back to that under-19 trip. That early part, that's the scarring part. Because once I got beyond the second warm-up game, I was fine. I was in the rhythm.
So what are you missing? What is it that you are missing? Kids, wife, home,
I think it's everything.
Familiarity?
The whole package, familiarity.
Because when you sort of leave Newcastle and you play at Edgbaston, you're not at home.
But I think it's a little bit like, was that the PTSD, the post-traumatic? It's a bit like that. I think it's that initial, I'm going back. I think it's, I'm going back to Pakistan again. Do you know what I mean? It's that place, and it's not Pakistan. It could have been India. It could have been the West Indies. It could have been Australia. It could have been anywhere. It was me leaving home for that first time, which really set me back. And I think it set me back on nearly every tour that I went on. And when Nasser was saying he's underprepared, he gets better as the series goes on. He's homesick. They're all going, he's homesick this. I was like, yeah, keep saying that. Keep saying that. That's not a problem to me. If you want to say it, I'm not going to come back at you. Because what I know and where my mindset is and where my mentality is, I'm in a place where you don't want to know where I am.
But I tell you what, the professionalism of the backroom team, because I was captain on that trip, 2004 to South Africa, I didn't know that. Yeah. So Kirk Russell, the physio, is obviously dealing with Steve. All I used to get a call, and it was as simple as this, and they used to ring you, didn't you, when you used to get to the airport? Yeah. He's on the plane down to London, because you'd obviously get the plane from Newcastle down to Heathrow, and I'd get a call saying, don't worry, he's on the plane. I had no clue that he was seeing a breathing.
Would you have done anything different? Like now, like if you would have gone back, because actually when you, I mean, it's like I turned up in 2005.
I didn't know.
First tour, I turned up to Pakistan, and you and Freddie were sharing a room. I turned up on day before the game, literally knew no one apart from Belly. And who's first to knock on the door? Harmy. Right, lad. Nice to meet you. Come next door.
Because I knew what it was like.
I
tried to make it easier for anybody new coming on.
I always look and go, Jesus Christ, like, I know this is after 2005 where you guys were like the big stars, and I joined that next tour. I was just like, bloody hell, Harmy. And I'll never forget that. Never forget that the first person to knock on my door was Steve Harmison. And I always thought you'd always do everything else for anyone else, but you wouldn't do it for yourself. Yeah,
but I felt as though what I did, my coping mechanisms from that, like Kirk telling you that he's on the plane, he's coming down. My coping mechanisms was that I needed to be around people. The minute I was in my own head, I was a dangerous human being to me, more than anything else. The reason why that we had, Fred knew everything about it.
I could have said, did you confide in Andrew?
Well, another thing that...
Keezy and Fred were two... I mean, this is the hard part about being... talking the way we talk about the Ashes and what's happening, and Rob being in the job that he's in. The way he was in that 2004 series, he knew because he was my roommate in the academy trip. In the academy trip, I never went back after Christmas. John Abrahams didn't fly back with a team because I refused point blank to go back to Australia, to Adelaide, because I didn't think it was... I thought it was shit. I didn't think it was very good. I thought it was like, we lived in this Big Brother house. We were taught to eat, drink, cook this stuff. And I'm like, I'm married, I've got a mortgage, I've got 2 kids. And these fuckers are teaching me how to cook food. And it was an under-19 trip rather than anything else. So I was stubborn that way. I'm not going back. And John Abrahams didn't fly with the team. He came north, stayed with me for 2 days, convinced me to go back to Australia. And I only went back because Jimmy Ormond had gone missing on the New Zealand trip, and there was a...
Literally gone
He
missing.
went missing, didn't he? He went
Just
missing.
on that, Jimmy
did.
Ormond
He went
to
missing.
Fletcher, I always remember it. I think we were in Queenstown.
It was
weren't we?
New Zealand, you went missing.
Queenstown, and we'd had this few days off, and we'd been up on
The landlord?
We'd been up on the hills, and Craig White got injured going down one of the, we're at the Winter Olympics, but it was, what's the skeleton thing? But it was a dry on.
Yeah.
Chalky White, he'd fallen off, he'd got injured. Someone else on a bungee, they'd got injured. I remember Fletch doing this team meeting, and no Ormond. And suddenly Jimmy Ormond strolls in with a pint and a fag. Just sat in the corner. What a character he was.
Gone missing.
Yeah, John Abrahams just convinced me, is like, Jimmy Ormond has gone missing. There's a chance that you and Belly could go to New Zealand. Belly came, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
I went back to Adelaide and I dislocated my shoulder and had to go home. Belly came over to New Zealand. But to answer yours, I always felt anybody that's coming in on a tour, for what I was going through, I wanted to make sure that nobody felt my way, but without telling them. Keezy and Fred knew. And all the things I used to take on tour, which were laughed at, and you've laughed at, and I've seen...
Dartboard, no pads.
I'm coming to this bit.
That's true.
It is true a little bit. I'm coming to this bit. But I would take things on tour to make sure my room was always...
Arms and arms.
Always had something in. That was Sri Lanka. That was...
Arms and arms.
That was Sri Lanka.
Arms
Yeah.
and arms.
It was Pakistan, but...
Pakistan, Sri Lanka, India.
The Pakistan bit, where I've got to correct Mick on this, on the pads bit.
You didn't have pads because
I didn't.
have
He
pads.
knocks on my door.
I didn't have pads.
I know. I looked in his bag. I was like, I can see a thigh pad.
Bloody pads.
I didn't.
Did you average 40 that tour?
But the honest truth about that
can't
one,
fit them all in, can
right?
you?
The honest truth about that one, it wasn't white pads, it was blue pads. It was the Pakistan trip, which you started on, then went home.
You went
I
home,
dropped my knee, yeah.
No, you played all of it. You played all those
No, he
three
didn't.
games. Show it bod speed like because I was.
No, he didn't.
No, I played the last two. I missed the first one.
It's the first
Who
one.
played the first one then?
Trez captained.
But he didn't play.
Should have won that game.
Yeah, so
done. He got 190,
But
didn't
the tactical the packing at the start, right, was I didn't want to take an extra bag.
Here he comes.
So I didn't want to take an extra bag. So in the summer, we had done this thing at Gunn and Moore, and Gunn and Moore's sister company was Unicorn, dart company, dart boards and everything.
Yeah.
So, and we went into Gunn and Moore during the Ashes Test match at Nottingham. I'm looking at this stand, and I was like, that'd be brilliant for tour. So I said to Russell Evans, go rest him. Yeah, sadly passed away a few years ago. So Russ, I want one of them for when we go away. Not a problem, got it sorted. So I'm ready to pack everything up. I can't fit everything in. So with us not being able to fit everything in, white pads, blue pads, dartboard. I worked the theory, right, that in 31 day internationals so far in my career, I've batted 7 or 8 times.
I think,
right?
it's good logic,
Right?
that. It's good logic. It's good logic.
And then
I'm sorry, you didn't have white.
No.
You didn't have.
I
white.
did.
He
well,
didn't have any pads.
He didn't have any
I did.
pads.
Whether he
I
had
did.
one.
He doesn't.
The thing that tipped it over, balance over the edge was confirmed. It was that my captain, number 4 batter for England in one-day international cricket was Michael Vaughan, who averaged 28 in one-day cricket. So the likelihood of me and him having the pads on at the same time, very, very small.
That's clever, that is.
Very
Steve.
small.
That's clever, that is.
So hence the blue pads in the brand new cellophane went into the not going pile, and the dartboard went into the underneath.
But then now
we had a really good.
We had a great setup, but now because when you then left, I took over that thing, and then Unicorn had the strap around the door. So you didn't have to take the stand with you.
Stand with you, yeah.
Actually, on front page of the Australia of the Times, when I came home.
I've seen you
literally had
pads.
But Unicorn there. I should have a live-term deal with Unicorn front page.
The dartboard.
I
I was
He's
expecting
good.
one.
Those
You
two
are
good.
responsible. He is responsible for my dart love.
Who's the best darter?
We had a dart
Jimmy's
league.
all right.
No, he's good.
Darts, isn't he?
He's good.
We had a dart league. There
Defo.
was me, you, Jimmy was in it.
Fred was in it.
Fred was in
Swanee
it. Swanee was in it. And the dark horse was it?
Tim Ambrose.
Tim Ambrose.
Oh yeah, Tim. Hey, he's good on the guitar as well, Tim.
Yeah, singer, songwriter.
He was decent,
He
yeah.
was decent. He was a dark horse. You needed a pair of pliers to take the darts out from Fred.
Yeah.
He used to throw them.
Like a javelin.
We had interconnecting doors.
Well, I was going to say that. So Phil Neal, the England manager, he's to come up to me as a captain and say, we've got this happening in the future, you know, these are the tours, these are where we're going. And he'd always used to say, are you all right with Fred and Harmy having an interconnecting room? He'd always ask me. I could do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Of course they can. But it Fred's scared of the dark, wasn't he?
Fred's scared of the dark, yeah.
He's scared of the dark.
He used to leave my bathroom light on.
He did. Scared of the dark.
Left your bathroom
My bedroom light.
I've got my two fiercest quicks. Big Steve and Fred, who's scared of the dark.
I think Multan was where it benefited more than anybody else because we got to the.
I was there. I was in Multan.
It was the Holiday Inn.
Bikes was there. The Holiday Inn.
Crystal Mark Jenkins went for a swim in the morning. It was the darkness was just coming up, and we were clapping him going in because we knew the swimming pool was full of bricks. He had his budgie smugglers on.
I remember.
Put his towel down and then go on, dive in. It was full of bricks.
It was full of bricks. Sofas. There were sofas in there.
Well, when we got to
CMJ.
the hotel, it was like carry on up the Khyber. There was just like one line of tiles to the reception, and the lady on reception was like, welcome the England cricket team, blah, 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 blah. That we're not quite ready yet from a hotel room point of view. And she was like, the air conditioning or hot water. The rooms haven't got both in. So me and Fred look at each other, right? We'll have one of each, and we'll put in one, and we'll get washed in the other. I mean...
Do you remember that Pakistan trip that we were at Heathrow and I had a problem with my ear? And we had a doctor for the first time we're ever...
Peter Gregory.
First time we're ever taking a doctor on tour to Pakistan, right? So I'm at Heathrow Marriott, remember? And I was, honestly, my ear was in all sorts of pain. So he sends me to a dentist in London. Like, in the afternoon, we're flying the following morning.
For your ear?
Right, no. He said, I think it's your tooth at the back. So I go to this dentist, drilling away. There we go. I'm like, oh, God, get back to the hotel, right, I fly, get to Pakistan. We play water polo, do you remember?
Oh, it's bad.
Well, I don't know where we were, maybe Lahore. Water polo, that first afternoon, we're all having a bit of a laugh. I get in this pool, I'm in agony. Go to the doctor, says, look, it's not worked. Bear in mind, it's the first time I've ever had a doctor on, so we'll have to send you to a doctor. I go to a Pakistani doctor. He gets the old, the light into the looking around me. He goes, oh, you got an ear infection. There was never anything wrong with my tooth.
I've got a better one with it for that one. On that same trip, right? We've got a doctor for the first time on that trip. He's telling us about taking malaria tablets. Malaria tablet.
Yeah, I know this.
He took a malaria tablet, sneezed, and it went that way. He was like that with he was dissolving it with water, and I'm thinking, fucking hell, what chance have we got?
He took his bowling boots on tour, didn't he?
Bowling boots,
He got belly out. He got belly out like a chaffer. He did, I promise you. He got belly out. One nipped away, top off, proper defence. Did ever saw a pill, but took his bowling.
Well, Wayne Morton back in the United, he used to bowl all the time.
Even Theo King, who were our fixer, Theo was our fixer, and they bowl all day.
Yeah. Do you remember Theo King?
Yeah,
remember how much money on Atherton's tour? Atherton's tour. It was a South Africa series, the dot balls. Theo had one of those spread bets on Atherton dot balls.
Dot balls. He used to.
And every time others.
Getting back to that Multan, I've got there early in the Holiday Inn. Yeah. It's a franchise. It was a franchise, and a chap from London had it, and they were just doing it up. And I got there very early. Your room's not ready yet, so I had to wait about 4 hours, and then I got the call. Your room's ready. So I'll take you up to your room. And as they got up onto this first floor, there's people hammering the carpet in. And he said, this is your room, the door. He puts the key in, pushed the door, and the whole lot fell. It's not on hinges. He said, oh, right. So we walk in. He said, let me undraw your curtains for you. He went like that, and all curtains fell down. He said, I'll put the lights on. He put the lights, and they all fused. Everything's gone. And you come back downstairs, so I had to wait again.
It's in 05 when we first landed there. And obviously it's a dry state and you can't drink in Pakistan. But if you sign a form and basically declare you're an alcoholic, you can get alcohol. It was the first thing all the England players all signed this.
There was a queue.
I mean that Pakistan trip was a belter because Bumble and Walt did a quiz. They would do a quiz. It was like 2 media, 2 players. And me and Fred were late getting there, so we came last. I think we were Reggie. I think it was like me, Reggie Hater.
Oh, yeah.
Fred, and I think it might be Norrie.
It
was Norrie, the 4 of us in this day. Anyway, we came last because we were...
David Norrie, wasn't he? News of the World.
We weren't concentrating. Anyway, at the end of it,
That's right.
him and Walt have given it Bumble and Walt have given it this big about being last, and we got these 2 clocks, alarm clocks. They were mosque alarm clocks. One was blue and one
Call
was
to
green.
prayer.
Call to prayer alarm clocks. So
to Prem.
he hammered us, absolutely hammered us in front of everybody. So we waited, went out, and looking, the hotel in Lahore was where your sort of balcony looks over reception. We seen him go into the restaurant. Like, right, so we go downstairs, get a key to his room. We set one for 4 o'clock, stuck under his bed, and set one for 5 o'clock, stuck behind his telly. I let him finish the story. This thing went off.
So at 4 o'clock, this thing's gone off. Like, Allah, like, what the? So I find it, and I do I turn it off, get back to bed in another hour, other one goes off. And so I get down into breakfast, and them two, him and flipping Freddie, you sleep all right last night? Absolutely killing myself.
Stick to Cricket is brought to you by Betfair.
You've talked about, the mental health and everything, but then became #1 bowler in the world. How did that happen? No, sorry, I don't mean to be rude.
7 for 11.
I'll go back to his debut, right? And I got a few.
Go on.
I got a few runs. It was at Chester Street.
Yeah.
I think I batted the whole game.
You did, yeah.
Oh, well done.
Right, no, so, but
170.
Goffey was the kingpin of English cricket around that time. He was the one coming through, and he
It's
was
a one-day game.
He was the one. He was the one at Yorkshire that was in the England camp.
Get one, yeah.
And I remember Goffey seeing me a few days later. He said, "Well played, mate." He said, "You played great." I said, "I'll tell you what. There's a kid at Durham who's a bowler."
Yeah.
I said, "He's awkward. He's got this bloody big, tall fella. His arms and legs are everywhere.
Horrible.
He's a bit wayward at times, but Jesus, he's quick."
Yeah.
He went, "Who?" I went, "Harmison."
Yeah.
I said, "Get into the England management. Just get him on the radar." I said, he might take 2 or 3 years to get it right, but I said, he's got a chance.
That's where Fletch was good. I mean, I'd learned a lot about Fletch after Fletch had gone through Jeff Cook and the way conversations Jeff had with Duncan. And I probably appreciated Fletch more when he wasn't there than when he was there. And that's nothing against likes of Peter and Peter Moores and people like that after that. But my turning point, if you ask from that question you're asking, was we played Bangladesh away, your first overseas tour as captain. Played in Dhaka. I got 9 in the match, got man of the match. And on the way to Chittagong, I didn't play in Chittagong because my back spasmed. I couldn't bowl. And a lot of people were writing me off saying I went home, I wasn't quite right. And I was nearly right. I should have went to Sri Lanka. You went to Sri Lanka straight after.
That's right, yeah.
Should have went to Sri Lanka, but I didn't go. I went to Loughborough. My back was still sore. And I pushed the boundaries of I'm not ready to play because I didn't want to go. Because I knew if I'd went, I wouldn't be fit for the first test match. And all them issues and problems I have normally for the start of a tour would manifest for a longer period. So I was looking after myself more than I was looking after anything else. And I was written off. There was a couple of articles that went about saying, just move on from him. And then Paul Winsper, a guy who was Durham's fitness coach, then went to Newcastle United. He read these articles and got in contact with me, and he said he'd shown them to Sir Bobby Robson. Sir Bobby Robson said he can come and train in Newcastle if you wanted. So I went in, and for nearly 9 weeks, I trained at Newcastle, nearly every day. But Sir Bobby was great with me. First up, he was like, you're all in or you're not in. So you eat with us, you train with us, you do what we do. And that's it. I don't want any, if you start straying off, start becoming Billy Big, so we'll ask you to leave. And I thought I knew what it took to be a professional sportsman. And until that 9 weeks, I realised I was fucking nowhere near. I was nowhere near. He took me in the gym. He's like, look at Alan Shearer, look at Gary Speed, look at Shea Given. Young James Milner. You look at the reason why these are playing international sport is over the next few weeks, you follow what they do and eat and drink. And I came back and went to the Caribbean. And I hadn't told anybody that I was at Newcastle. Nobody, even from ECB, knew I was there. And when I turned up to the Caribbean, I wasn't lighter than what I was, but I was...
Do you remember what Caribbean, he turns up, right? And we knew he'd been training. And suddenly, day one, he arrives on the pitch warming up, and he had one of them balls, didn't you? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Those, what they call those?
Big Swiss
No, not the big Swiss balls that you do. Fucking big Steve walking everywhere. Hello.
With a Swiss ball.
Swiss ball.
I've got a Swiss roll.
The Swiss ball doing all these stretches on. Bloody hell.
But for that 9 weeks, that's what transformed me into... Yeah. Because Paul had put my body back together the first time when I came back from Pakistan with I was basically had a bad back, but it wasn't. It was just growing pains. And then in this period, they taught me how and what and why and what a professional sportsman should look like. How he eats in the morning, how he eats at lunchtime, and the training that you do in between the day. And it was, well, not only was it eye-opening, but it was so beneficial. And that was the first time me, Hoggy, Simon, Fred and Gilo in that first test match in Jamaica. That's right, the first time we had bowled together. And from there, it was a
bowl speed light, 8 for...
7 for 12.
7 for 12 and took the place by storm.
Yeah, I mean...
And mainly that was just mainly then down to pure fitness.
Fitness.
But then...
but if you're he's a prime example. I mean, concentration factor, why he got 12,500 test match runs. His concentration factor was at the highest point, highest level. One of the fittest blokes that's played cricket in the England cricket team. It goes hand in hand.
Yep.
If you're physically fit, you've got a better chance of making better decisions. Execution of whatever your plan you're trying to get. And that, for me, was the difference between going on that tour and then for the next tours.
Did you still, have that anxiety, though, when you went that first week on that tour?
Yeah.
You still did?
Still had, yeah. We were in Jamaica, weren't we? And we thought he staged this with NASA. I still think he had staged it with NASA. You had to go at NASA, didn't you, on that second warm-up game? NASA was at short leg, ball went to square leg, out towards the boundary. Simon's at fine leg, I think it was. The guy was bowling inside edge, and Simon had to run all the way around. NASA's standing at short leg, didn't go for it. We get a wicket, and he's come flying in and nailed NASA. Nailed him. And we were like, this has been staged. This is Michael putting
old captain.
It's old captain. And it wasn't. But that was one of the first times that we were like, it's sort of marking your territory sort of thing.
Who was your captain?
He was captain.
Oh, you've had a go at Nas?
Didn't
Whoa!
And he's at short.
Well, we had that.
To be fair, he took it. Short leg.
Yeah.
I mean, NASA had the best time in the world at short leg during that West Indies series.
Yeah.
He had 4 fast bowlers who were just fending them off everywhere.
Thank you.
But during that game, I was struggling, even up to the first Test match. I can think of 2 or 3 games where the first Test match in Port Elizabeth, for obvious reasons I've mentioned, the first Test match in the first Test
Did
match.
we win in Port Elizabeth?
Yeah. Well, they picked the wicketkeeper, didn't they? Toloseki.
Yeah.
They didn't pick Boucher. David de Villiers and
Hoxter got a couple early, didn't I think he got Smith out?
He did, yeah.
First over.
We won there, and then the 05 Oval Test match, day 1, I was having a real bad time, mentally. I had a struggle there, and there was a couple more along the way where, on hindsight, you're probably looking back on it and think if I was a proper team man, which I always felt I was, a proper team man would have tapped him on the shoulder and said, mate, I can't tell you why, but you probably shouldn't play me in this game because I'm not quite right. And more often than not, if I look back, it would likely be the first Test match of nearly every tour I went on.
Stick to Cricket is brought to you by Betfair.
What about that delivery in Australia that finished up at second slip?
Talking about first Test matches.
You lead it into that perfectly. I just tried too hard.
Yeah.
I literally tried too hard.
Just picture it now. There's nobody said a word, and it's gone to Flintoff, hasn't it? Andrew's just gone as if it's a normal thing. I think that we said, has he nicked that? No, he's just bowled it straight at him.
Hoggy was the best. Hoggy's at fine leg. He's running in. He got to about where the 30-yard circle would be, and Hoggy's got his arms in the air.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And then he's gone.
Didn't you say?
And then he's gone. Then Hoggy's gone twice. He's gone. Yes. Yes. And then he's gone. Starts loosening.
Didn't Hoggy normally take first ball, though?
Hoggy-
Didn't he normally bowl first ball?
Hoggy, the first time I ever took the first ball was was at Lloyd's in 05. And then I took it. Then it comes to preparation, like was being criticised in this Ashes series. I didn't play the week before in Adelaide, and I was nowhere near ready to play in that game.
So Adelaide was a warm-up game before
Adelaide, the warm-up.
6-7.
We had 3 warm-up games
6-7.
then as well, didn't we?
Yeah. So I got injured. I did side in the first one. Didn't play that much in the second one. Didn't play the third one because the third one wasn't a 13-man aside one. It was 11 v 11. It was a first class. And that that didn't come on until right on sort of 20 past 10 or 20 past before the toss. So it was like, right, I'm not playing in it. And I was nowhere near fit. Tried to bowl fast. I tell a joke of visualisation, and you think, well, Langer got hit in the arm, Ponting got hit in the head, it loads, I'll pitch it up, swing it, nick. And I'm like, I got 95% of it spot on, just missed him out. But it was weird. Gilo came over, put his arm round us, and in them situations, it's fight or flight, isn't it? You sink or swim. You either stand up, because when you're gone back...
But nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Flintoff just took it like that and thrown it. You've sort of ended your follow-through and just, with your shirt, like you used to do, he's pulled his shirt up and walked back and...
I was commentating on it. And I just sort of went, oh.
But you're right, Oggy's come in, yeah.
Oggy's like that.
Yeah.
I always feel sorry for him. Anyone that bowls a really bad ball these days in Test cricket, most people know it's the Army delivery.
Yeah,
the Army.
But in the Joffre ball one in the T20.
Can you laugh at it?
About 50.
Can you laugh at it?
I was laughing at it. Cooky said he bowled all right.
I think he bowled all right.
I bowled 15 overs that day. I bowled 15 overs. And again, these moments in your career when you look back and you think, 7 for 12, everybody talks about. But the mental fortitude you had to come through to get to 6 o'clock that day. Yeah. When at 59 minutes past 10, you've bowled a second ball at second slip, first ball at second slip, and you've got 45,000 people in Brisbane, when you go down to fine leg, aren't singing Christmas carols at you. They're at you. And I tell this when I do the Q&As, and I've always been reluctant to sort of say it publicly big time, but I watched the news that night, and on Sky News that night, I'll never forget, that was the first thing that was on.
Right.
And the second thing that was on, there was 2 soldiers, English soldiers killed in Afghanistan, and that always stuck with me because it came back to me and going, fuck's this all about? I mean, that made me realise what cricket was. It was a job, and it was something that I enjoyed doing. But that second newsreel was when that delivery got left in Australia. It just got left behind because it was like, I mean, I put it hugely into perspective of what I'd just done compared to what was happening other parts of the world. Yeah. So whenever anybody asks me how long did that delivery, it probably lasted about 8 hours.
It's just a game of cricket.
Exactly.
It's just a game of cricket.
You've got an incredible mentality. I mean, obviously, you've come through depression. You've had injuries in your career. Recently, you've not been too well. I know you've not spoken a great deal about it, but you've not been incredibly well. But you seem to be able to bounce back. You seem to keep going.
Yeah. I think sometimes I mean, I wasn't blessed educationally.
Your best line to me, I said, how did you get on with your exams? He said, I've got A in every one. Absent for every exam.
I entered 11 exams and I got A for every one. I was absent. I left school at 15. I had enough. I mean, I spent most of the week in the corridor. I'd walk into a classroom, am I sitting out here? Yep, I might as well not be here. And at 15, I left. I didn't go back. Didn't do any exams. Waited till the threshold of 16, got an apprentice on a bricklayer, and for the next 2 years, in between that, first year at Durham, when I made my debut, didn't play in 97. That year, I did the bricklaying course. And at the end of 97, I bowled in a net about August, September time. I was having problems with my back, and it was just growing pains. And Jeff Cook, Booney tells the story as well, because David Boone was the captain. Yeah. And Jeff had said, I've got, like what you said to Coffee, Jeff was, I've got one, but I don't want you to be visual when he's bowling in the net, because if he sees you, then I don't know what'll happen. And Booney said he told to watch from upstairs, one of the boxes upstairs. And Booney said after 3 balls, pads were on, and down he came, and he wanted to face. And at the end of the net, he came, and I remember Booney coming to me and saying, "What's the situation? What's the story?" Explained cricket wasn't really high on my agenda. I was a football man, not interested in really the cricket properly. And he just said, "I want you to be fit for April. If you're fit for April, you'll play cricket for Durham." And he pushed Jeff all the way through that winter to make sure I was fit. The first game of the season against Warwickshire in '98, he picked me and I played. It was brilliant. It was weird because
the little Viking.
Do you know when you get now at the start of the year, you've got your media day and you get your whites and your blues and everything like that. I'd just been given my first lot of blue kit.
You didn't
my name on the back.
Did you take it with you or not bother?
No, I didn't. Yeah. He took it off me. He took it off me. He said, "Give that back to the cricket secretary." I said, what? Just getting a kit with my name on. Give it back to the cricket secretary. He went, you'll play every first-class match that you're fit this summer. You will not play in white ball cricket. Give that back. And I didn't play till... And actually, when I did play, it made me one-day debut. It was by accident, because we played at Somerset, and two players got injured in the warm-up, and I was the only one left, and he had to pick me. But he just said, I want to give you... And he taught me how to bowl log spells. Wow. I mean, there was times... I mean, we talk about bowlers now and managing workloads. Fuck me, Boonie. There was times after 9, 10 overs, I'm looking over the slip and go, hello. The glasses are on. He's like, is that fucker awake there? Somebody tap him on the shoulder. Collie, ask him if I'm still bowling. Yeah, you're still bowling. I think I bowled over 600 overs in my first season as an 18-year-old in first-class cricket. And he was brilliant. He was, amazing man. So my education into the game, from Boonie's point of view, was good. I fucked up a few times, alcohol-wise, and he kicked me into line. And
But you also mentioned Jeff Cook a couple of times.
Oh,
and he's
yeah,
just a man of cricket, isn't he? He's just a man of cricket. Fantastic.
I'm not sitting here for that. There are people that turn around and you say, if it wasn't for him, I would not be the person I was. I mean, Durham, I don't think England would be it's large parts of their, of England's success without Durham. And then you go back into that without Jeff Cook. I mean, other than Yorkshire and Surrey in the last 25 years, nobody's produced more cricketers than Durham.
Stick to Cricket is brought to you by Betfair. Where do you sit with that, with Durham and not having, obviously, test status? And is that hitting the North East?
No, I think it's the right thing not to have test status. Right. We couldn't attract people to come. We should have a lot of one-day games. But we weren't getting. I I commentated in a Test match at Durham. It was Durham against England against Sri Lanka. It was at the end of May. It was freezing cold. Sri Lankans are freezing. Yeah. It was dark at 5:30. Yeah. There was 4,500 people on the ground. No point.
2016. 2016.
That's the one. Yeah.
You were chance in August.
Chance in August.
Play up in Durham.
But they wouldn't give us it. So we were
But don't you think it's such a hotbed of cricketing talent up there? Why would you?
Played at the right time.
You've got to play at the right time. Yeah. But you've also got, I would imagine you've got contractual obligations with other test match venues that they get a sort of first choice, I would imagine. It must be, because we always got a Bangladesh test match in start of the summer. Remember we played the West Indies in 2007?
Snowed off.
Right.
Was it snowed?
Coldest test match
Coldest
ever.
That's when my pants fell down.
That's, yeah.
No, I got that.
That wasn't cold, is it?
Trolleys, lost his trolleys. Lost his trolleys, they've come off.
Remember I can't remember the coach's name, Australian guy. Not Stewie Law, the one before. I'd never forget it. He stood
John
there.
Buchanan?
No. He stood and he shouted top of his voice, he stopped this session. And 3 or 4 of the West Indies lads are doing fielding practice with their batting gloves on. So we didn't get the test matches at the right time, but we still produced players. And the players we produced, Collie was World Cup captain, Ashes winners, Stokes. We produced some players, not just for England, but players that played vital parts in English cricket. And largely
You're still doing that?
That was Jeff. You're
still doing that now? I mean, McKinney's coming through, Minto's coming through.
Yeah. Minto's good. I seen Minto as an 11-year-old, and I reckon he bowled 80 mile an hour at 11-year-old.
Yeah.
His image is Charlie, and James played for Durham, Charlie with Northumberland. And I reckon as an 11-year-old, he was the fastest. I was like, he's 11. This thing was pissing through. He had a difficult year last year. He had a difficult personal time last year. But I think he'll kick on this year, and Durham will use him more. But we produced players. Jeff was amazing. Jeff wouldn't go to where, like, I have this, and we might disagree on this, but when the public school and the state school, now the state school and the private schools, Jeff wouldn't go to the private school areas. He'd go to harder, more run-down areas, the coal mining towns, to get the Harmisons from Asherton, the Collingwood.
From clubs. He'd go to clubs.
He'd go clubs, and he'd get them, and he would get them from more difficult areas rather than, he would look at the more affluent areas and go, it's a rich babysitting service. By 16, that kid doesn't want to play cricket because he's been dropped off there by mum and dad while they go off and do something else. Where you go to these clubs, these mining villages, mining towns, which these clubs are centre of the of the area, and these kids are wanting to play cricket. They're wanting to go, and that's where Jeff was. Jeff was an amazing man, talent spotter.
It's very important. There's two areas that you've got your private schools which will produce cricketers. But your state schools won't do. They never have done. But clubs do.
Clubs. That's
where
where the money.
Yeah, but the state school, state schools don't produce them. But you play a bit and then you play at your club.
I never played at school. It's a nonsense.
I played at my state school.
Yeah, well, we didn't.
I did.
I never played.
I'll just tell you. So we've created a T20 state school competition that's launching this year, right?
Okay.
So we went into discussion about a year or so ago about this taking place, and the conversation started with, look, there's never been a state school represent itself at the home of cricket, ever. There's been state school players play for foundations and clubs, but a state school has never, ever gone to Lords and played as a school. So let's create this tournament. The MCC, brilliant. Yep, we'll host the finals day. We went around the table and said, right, how many teams realistically, boys and girls, under 15s, T20, how many do you think we'll get? We went, well, we end up with the first year 300 state school teams for the boys, and if we can get 50 to 80 girls, that'd be a massive success. We're over 1,100 that have signed up for this year's
combined.
No, so we've got over 400 girls teams that have entered for this year, and there'll be finals days. We're hoping that the northern finals will be at Headingley, and I think Sussex, Somerset, and Worcester. I think they've given up their ground for some finals as well. But on September the 10th, 2026, there'll be 4 state schools representative, 2 girls, 2 boys, for the first time ever.
Is it knockout?
Yeah, knockout. It'll be So it starts in April when they're back at school, and if you've not got a ground at your school, there's local clubs or the independent sector that have been brilliant, said they can use the facilities that we have. So that tells me that cricket, we all bag cricket. We're in cricket, but we also, it is there.
It's there.
The first year that you create a tournament.
It is there, but it's not at state school.
I've never played at state school.
Yeah, but maybe it's because you didn't have the opportunity to have a tournament that gives you that chance to go and play at the home of cricket.
Plenty of cricket at the club. Everything went to the club. What about Moeen Ashraf's academy?
Yeah, fantastic.
Some fantastic.
But what I'm saying is this tournament here, there has been cricket played at state school because I played it.
Yeah.
And there are state schools. There's Myers College around Preston, I think, area. They got to the semi-final of the schools. There is a schools tournament, but generally the independent sector dominates.
We played once a year. We played once a year. If we played twice a year, it's because we won our first game and then we played a private school in the second game and got walloped. I mean, the thing from a state school's point of view is, right, if you've got a team, great. But you teach them from the club. You get them from the club. This is where I have been a big pusher of trying to say, if we're going to put money into that element of grassroots cricket, it's got to improve the facilities at the club level, because I mean, I've watched a lot of age group cricket in the last sort of 5-10 years, and maybe more, and it's get away from the goodwill of the guy from Northumberland under 11s is best mates and he does the tees at such and such cricket club, so we'll get them to host Northumberland against Cumbria, and you end up going and playing on the outfield. It's a waste of time for even 11-year-olds. Stick money into areas of club cricket to improve the facilities, make it better, so when they play at representative cricket, that they play on a decent pitch, they play on a flat outfield, and the facilities are good. The thing with a state school is, if you'd walked in and you give state schools a budget, they've got no money anyway.
Let's clarify this. All they'll get is, if they haven't got a pitch will be found for them. But even you're basically asking teachers, because they're going to have to give up their time to put this tournament. So teachers, look, there's over 1,100 teams. That's in the first year.
It's great, and I really don't want to sort of be too negative towards it, but I look at it through my time at school and seeing the state schools.
You were never at school,
the brief times I went, yeah. But you try and teach kids at school. You've got a classroom of 20 kids, 28 kids in a class. You've got one school teacher who maybe is at village cricket level, trying to teach 28 kids how to play cricket. Chance. And after about 15 minutes, you've got 28 kids working to the theory that one person bowls it, one person bats it, one person stands with wicket-keeping gloves on behind it, and the other 20 odd are standing in the field with their fingers up. And then little Johnny's starting a wrestling match from what he's seen last night over there, and the other ones are bringing a piss out of each other over there, and the teacher's trying to... This ball is hard. It's a dangerous game. And I think at school level, as much as it's great to try and push it that way,
You have to start somewhere.
It's got to go. It's got to go towards a club.
No, but
else are you gonna do
you
this
start a
summer?
tournament. You've got over 1,100 teams. Fantastic. The year after there'll be more. And guess what'll happen? There'll be players that have never played cricket before.
Yes.
And they'll go, where can I play more cricket? Well, we can't. Guess where you have to go? Your local team. Your local club, and that's what's going to happen from a state school team that have got, you're right, 3 or 4 players that will already be playing, and there'll be 7 or 8 who just want to miss biology, miss history, because you get a bit of time off because you're going to play a game of cricket, and that's how you get.
Biology.
Yeah, correct. But that's how I started. Most of my team at state level were footballers. But they wanted to miss a lesson, so they came and joined the cricket team.
Let's be clear on this. Each board, the county board, will have a bevy of coaches who go into schools. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so that time, the teacher who has to have time off, not necessary, because there will be a coach who will be looking after that area of schools.
Yeah.
And he'll be from the amateur board.
And pushing towards, and they should be pushing them towards.
They will do.
Them cricketers that
I'm sure
haven't
they
played,
do that.
Pushing them towards.
That's exactly what.
clubs.
But that's exactly what will happen with this competition.
You mentioned biology.
Yeah.
Well after I'd finished even playing, there was a charity doing 10 events in 10 months to raise 10,000 for something in Northumberland, Ashton, and I said I'd help do. I can't remember the full intakes, but anyway, I turned up, and there was this blonde lady tapped me on the shoulder, and she said, "You're my what did you call me? You're my absentee." I said, "Right." She said, "My name is Mrs. Duffy, I think it was." And she said, "Right." She says, "You were supposed to be in my biology science lesson every Friday for 3 years, and this is the first time I've ever met you." I've never been. Every Friday afternoon. I used
to love biology. You get them Bunsen burners.
Biology?
Yeah, I used to get the Bunsen. Was that chemistry?
Birds of the bees.
Yeah.
Oh, we never did.
Set things on fire.
Our at technical college, we just woodwork and metalwork and geometrical and engineering drawing.
Yeah. Double graft. Double graft you had. Double graft.
We were grafters.
Technology.
Ashington. Jack and Bobby Charlton.
Oh,
Jackie Milburn.
Yeah.
Bob, I didn't know Bob.
I did.
Jack's last year. I wish I'd got to know Bob, but Bob doesn't get, which pisses me off actually, with the way he's talked about in the Northeast, because the last 5 or 6 years of Jack's life, I used to have lunch with him every Friday at the golf club, and bless him, he was struggling by the end. Yeah. What a lovely fella, great storyteller, and just a great human being. He knew the pound went in the coffee machine, but if you didn't quite tell him quick enough to get the cup there, he flooded the place. He was just an amazing man. Great.
Bob was dead serious.
Bob was the other way.
So Jack was quite a gregarious fella and tell a story. Bob was quiet and dead serious. Don't forget, Bob was in the Munich air disaster. Yeah. That must have had a real impression
on the plane.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He survived it. They put a statue up in Ashington of Jack, and I wouldn't go to the opening of it because Bob wasn't there. It wasn't a statue of them both. They were both born in Ashington. They were both, for me, North East legends. Yeah. Bobby Charlton won the Ballon d'Or. He was the best player in England. Best player ever, arguably one of the best players ever to play the game in England. And until he was 15, he lived in Ashington. He went to the same first school as I went to. I went to the same middle school. But Jack was in the same class as me, my grandfather, who granddad died when he was 35. They were in the same class at school. So Bob, for me, was a North East legend. But whenever you talk about Bob in the North East, especially in Ashington, people don't warm to him as much as they did with Jack, because Jack always went back.
Yeah, but quiet.
But Bob left. Bob left So Bobby left when he was 15 to chase his dream to be the best footballer he could be at Manchester United, the best club in the world. And he made a new life down here. Yeah. And he didn't turn his back on Ashington. But a lot of people in the North East thought he did, and that's why it annoys me a lot when people talk in negative terms about Sir Bobby in Ashington.
All in one at Mottram Hall, Bob. Did it? There's a plaque. This is the
Which hole?
Oh, I can't remember. Someday. So me and Bob go to the Open at Birkdale, and I'm driving, and him and Eddie is in back, Butcher Eddie, and it's absolutely fantastic day, red hot. And we met up with him that sing, what were he called? Not Freddie and the Dreamers. Him that sings, what's that anthem at Anfield? You'll Never Walk Alone.
Ferry across the Mersey.
No, yeah.
It's the same singer.
Pacemaker.
No,
Jerry
Jerry and the
Jerry,
Pacemaker.
yeah.
So we met up with them, Jerry and the Pacemakers, with Jerry and his missus. It's red hot. You know, Bob's bald head. He didn't have his hat.
Oh.
Well, I said, I'll have to go and buy. Come on, we'll go in the village and buy a hat. And they suddenly, come in, Bob, I'd like to see you. He said, can I have one of them hats? And he put a tenner down. She said, £25, please. You've never seen his face drop like that because he were careful.
Well, Jack was supposed to be the same, but he used to pay as the old wives' tales in Ireland. He would buy everybody a drink, at the bar a drink, and
pay by check.
And he would never cash it because they put
the check behind the bar.
Oh, it's like that. Good thinking, that.
Yeah, he was good. I mean, I loved him every Friday. The reason why is his wife used to get her hairdressers done next to where the golf club is, and Jack's mum was in the old people's home at the other end of like the promenade. So she would drop him off, go for a walk. He'd walk his mum along the promenade. Then he'd come into the golf club for some a sandwich or whatever. And Pat would come and pick him up. And obviously Sissy died, and Jack just kept coming. And the old fella, it was his cousin, used to bring him. And then by the end, he just come on his own, and he would sit, and he was brilliant company. And I mean, by the end, I'm saying he was frail and he was struggling, and he would get anybody that would come up and sit. And I used to say, we'll go and sat with Jack, and I'd go to the bar and I'd hear the lads pissing themselves laughing, and I know what's coming back because I can hear him going, and he would like, cricketer's name again, because he didn't know anybody's name. Cricketer's name again. And then he would get them. That's how he would get them in the conversation. He would go, an amazing man. He was a bit like Sir Bobby Robson. When you were in Sir Bobby's company, he knew what names were.
I've just telling me here that you're doing an interview in about 10 minutes, so we've got to finish with a few community questions.
Oh no, forget the interview.
All right, great.
It's half past.
Stick to Cricket is brought to you by Betfair. Let's start with this one, Steve. Luke Wright has stepped down as chairman of selectors. Would you be interested in that role?
I think I've tried twice. I think that ship's probably sailed for me. What I've said over the last
twice.
Yeah, the first time I got an email back off the ECB, which basically was they didn't believe it was me. I mean, it was a generic email, basically like somebody from
Accounts
who said Dog and Duck Third 11's applied for this selector's role, and when it got made public, then I got a letter back off Paul Downton saying, look, apologies, we should have done it differently. So I was like, fine, it's not a problem. The second time was with Keezy. It wasn't so much the selector's role I was looking at, it was more, one of my best mates was director of cricket, and I wanted to help out. He'd been helpful to me throughout my career, and I wanted to see if I could help out. During that time of the interview process, which I thought was eye-opening, to see the way like Samoa Bobat and David Court and the selection panel was working. It was really eye-opening.
In what way?
Just showing the technology they've got and everything they've got.
You can average 30 and still play?
Well, that comes down to choice. That comes down to selector's choice, as in literally every delivery from a line of length. Yeah, it is true. Line of length, speed. Yeah. The whole thing is
pitch
there.
maps, bloody everything.
So for me, it makes it even more. What you're saying, still being a team averaging 30, is a little bit of a concern. So I got eye-opened on that, but I also felt that at the time they didn't want anybody to challenge the captain or the coach.
As in this captain and coach?
As in this captain and coach. Right. So for me, it probably wasn't the right role for me because...
So that was in the interview process that they... So what were you there to do then? Just kind of offer up...
No, that wasn't in the interview process, but I just got the feeling that it was the captain and the coach were the ones that were picking the team, driving the team, and we didn't want anybody to come in.
But where do they get their information from?
I'm assuming through the performance director and the analysts.
It's done the umpires where everything's then logged on.
Everything's logged on.
Every pace ball where it's pitched.
So when Darren Lehman said, and this is where that my yes man comment hit a bit of headlines after that first Test match. When Darren Lehman said he hadn't seen a selector, didn't know who the selectors were. I mean, yes, it was an off-the-cuff comment, and Buff was trying to, stick one in. But at the end of the day, you could sit there.
I don't think he was.
No, I don't think it was. But you can sit there and you can have 5 TV screens up, and all of a sudden you've got every game of county cricket that's on in front of you. You've got the GoPro of the umpires on there, and you've got where the ball delivered from, the height it's delivered from, the speed it's been delivered at, where it pitches, where it goes, everything that. It's in front of you. So you can make your decisions on who's doing well and who's doing what. And all of a sudden, from that point of view, you're saying averaging 30. If you're going to go and pick somebody, then I think then you go and watch some of your own.
You've got to watch them live.
Of course you've got to watch them live.
Comparing, I always think...
I also want to put pressure on somebody.
Yeah, but also you watch players and like you watch Johnny Bear. I always remember looking at people like Johnny Bear. The first time I saw him bat, you can't put your finger on it, but you notice something. Yeah. Joss Butler's exactly the same. I know it's obvious now.
Can I bring something here? So this is recent times, yeah?
Yeah.
We haven't won a Test match series, 5-match series since 2017.
Yeah.
Our last, you go Champions Trophy last year, we didn't win a game. Our World Cup defence in India was a poor defence of the title in 2023.
Oh, yeah.
So we won the T20 World Cup in Melbourne in, what was that, 22? 22. So the last few years, we've actually won no trophies. We haven't won an Ashes series, we've not beaten India, and we've not won an ICCFN. But you're talking about this structure. I'd argue that it's not working because the time that you're mentioning, which was eyes, send someone to watch, put them under pressure, you're right, Phil.
Yeah.
I used to panic in the nights when I was a young player,
absolutely.
When I knew that, and I don't remember who were the selectors in the 90s.
Mickey Stewart's
when they arrived at Henley, I knew they were there. When I was 20, 21, 20, I was like, oh, geez, the selectors here.
Oh, Gooch and Gatting.
I wasn't ready at that time because I couldn't even cope with the selectors being there.
But to sort of dissect what you're saying there, the information and stuff like that, that's fine. That's not the problem. It still comes back to the decision making. I still think the problem that we've had in the last 2 years, and I've been critical of this Ashes like everybody else has. I think when we're making the decision on future and who goes forward with England in the future, I think you've got to take this Ashes section out of it a little bit because that was so bad, because everything went wrong. As in, our planning was so badly wrong. They've admitted that. They're not playing enough games. The Lilac Hill over Optus Stadium. Even coming down to the selection, Shoaib Bashir's your frontline spinner with Will Jacks as your backup spinner. I mean, that there is an alarm bell. You've got 3 batters in the top 6 who average 34 or less, with no spare opening batter. And even if you want to delve a little bit deeper than that...
Or a spare wicketkeeper.
I'll come on to that. I mean, this rant could go a little bit longer. But no spare opening batter. And then if you look at, what we got if Crawley, Duckett or Pope gets injured, we've got an inexperienced Bethel. We've got a Lions trip, which has got Tom Haynes, Ben McKinney or Emilio Gay. One of them are going to have to be thrown in to a test match. So these decisions... I always defend Keezy because I have to. He's my mate, and I really want to see him succeed and do well. And I think he's done a lot of good stuff with the pathway. I heard you talk about it in an earlier show about the under-19s and the pathway. That was all rebuilt after COVID. That had to be rebuilt, and that's why I'll be making a decision on McCullum solely on this one Ashes series because. As a coach, you drive the message. As a coach, you prepare the players. As a coach, you prepare the team. You make sure you're leading, no stone unturned to make sure that everything that we potentially think is going to go right or wrong, you're ready for it as a coach. And I think England got all that horribly wrong. No spare opening batter when you've got...
So where does that leave McCullum when he's made all those mistakes?
I think I'm reluctant, but I think he goes. Honestly, just because I'm isolating, when a lot of us are talking about them didn't beat India at home, didn't beat India away, Australia at home or away, I'm not that bothered about that a little bit. I'm bothered about this one Ashes series. I mean, and then somebody who else, I've not really spoke to him too much about it because I work in the media and I do say stupid things at times and I don't like having the information because if I've got it, I shout it even harder. But whoever has got Mark Wood from February to November wants sacked. February gets injured, He's nearly fit, apparently, because McCullum says this, for the 5th Test match against India in July, as a fast bowler. Doesn't play any of the games for Durham to see if there's any sort of stiffness, soreness or anything like that. Goes wherever to bowl in the middle, in Abu Dhabi or wherever he goes. Bowls 8 overs at Lilac Hill. So whoever's decided that that is a good plan to go into the first Test match is negligent. From me, from medical department, from whoever it is, he's 35 years old. His career's finished. And that there is just a small sample, I think, of where this process has been going. And I think if I want to make one person an example, it would be that. No spare opening batter, no spare wicketkeeper. Jimmy Smith's
Didn't have a fielding coach.
Didn't have a fielding coach. And if I want to talk about my supposedly level of expertise, I'm on one here, is the bowling element. Not to have a bowling coach is a disgrace, right? But I have never had a problem with Tim Southee as bowling coach. I think it was a good choice. But for him to leave and to go and sit on a bench in Abu Dhabi and not sit on a bench in the Ashes,
David Saker came in at the last minute, didn't he?
It could be David Saker. I don't want to be disrespectful of David Saker here because he's a very, very fine coach and good man. Irrelevant, David Saker, in this conversation. He doesn't know his bowlers. You've got 6 fast bowlers there over 5 Test matches. The most important component for me in a bowling unit is that coach who has the time, the 2 hours off the field, when, as the game evolves, he is the one that you come in. And if you've got a great relationship with you, he's the one that tells you, get your finger out your arse. Tells you that you're doing well. Tells you that the plan might need to change as Travis Head is getting into his 20s, his 30s and 40s. You might be tighter, you might have to go a bit wider. All these things have to come, and that's a relationship. And if you've not got a relationship with your bowling coach, waste of time. And England bowlers were underprepared. I mean, some of them hadn't even bowled competitively since the end of the summer.
Well, who do you think made all those decisions?
It's got to come down to it doesn't matter who made the decision. If it was a football, who would it be? Who gets sacked?
Manager.
Well, the manager, yeah.
And this is why I'm reluctant. And I say this because I think Brendan McCullum's done more positive things for English cricket than negative things. I think this ride over the last 3.5 years has been a brilliant ride. I think I like Brendan McCullum, and I really wanted to see him succeed, and I want to see him continue. Part of me wants to see the end of the film, because part of me thinks the end of the film will be positive. Part of me thinks that in 2027, we win the Ashes here. But this is why I'm saying, if you detach everything from what happened from leaving England to leaving Sydney, and it was so bad, then for me, that comes down to the man that's in charge. And if somebody got to be made accountable. If you don't make people accountable, it's a free-for-all. And that, unfortunately, and I hate saying it because I like Brendan. I think Brendan McCullum, great player, great person. He's closer to you than anybody else.
It's a good show with you.
I'm not personal. It's not a personal crusade of getting Brendan. I really would like to see him see the end of his film.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I think because of what happened in Australia, somebody has to carry the can. And I think that stays at the coach's door.
I quite like your long run, Harmy.
Do you like that?
Yeah, very good.
Right.
Well,
Is there not an argument to say, look, it's gone horribly wrong, deep breath, you put it right. You've got a chance to put it right.
I think that was before Australia.
I think if you go back to 23, where they made a lot of mistakes, so that Ashes series for me was it was a free hit for them. But they screwed up in those first 2 games. I haven't seen enough in the time since then to now that they've learned. And this was the time that you thought, oh God, the prep. It was the thing about this Ashes series for me. It wasn't hindsight. No. Because everyone had said the preparation doesn't look right. Your selection looks a bit. The style of play that you.
The words.
So why? My question to you was, of all the England coaches that have been in the last 25 years and directors of cricket, generally at the end of a cycle, which is home and away Ashes series, you go, right, it was always going to be judgment time this winter. And judgment time, they failed. You know, you're right in saying that you could give him a chance, but why does he earn the right that other people haven't earned the right in the past?
If Peter Moores was coach, what would be the outcome?
Go on.
If Chris Silverwood was coach, what would be the outcome?
Well, you could argue Ashley Giles lost his job at the end of the last Ashes as the DOC.
Yeah.
So Rob Key's in a similar position. Yeah, that's the same argument.
I think, and while you'd bat for Baz, and rightly so, I'd bat for Keezy and say there's a lot more going on rather than just the England cricket team. The Pathway programme, Freddie involved with the Lions, the under-19 would have won the World Cup if it wasn't for an absolute brilliant innings by a 15-year-old. But could have, would have, should have, doesn't mean you win the trophy. I think there's a lot of good things going, and this is why I keep saying detach the Ashes from the rest. What you're saying is valid. I think that moment happened 2023, 2024.
And against India in the summer last year.
Last year.
The Stokes interview, where he said we've been rumbled. We were steamrolling teams for 18 months. They've rumbled us, and we've agreed that rumble, they would have said against Boland and Nisa, we're going to attack you, we're going to dance down the pitch, we're going to hit you here. And Carey comes up and stands, so hang on, what are we going to do now? So they've been rumbled.
As well in that, and to carry on from that, what Stokes has said and, being rumbled, if you carry on and see the film through, all of a sudden you're basically saying, well, nobody's accountable for negative performances, and we'll continue making decisions that 3 players in the top 6 average 34 or less.
They've tried, when they're taking over from Joe Root, try to take the pressure off the players, let them go and play, try and take the burden, the England heavy shirt, hear it in rugby, trying to make people not get burdened by the shirt. They've tried that.
Enjoyment.
It worked for, like always, that's a fresh new idea. It works for a period of time.
And that's why
that's with a lot of senior players, wasn't it, at the start?
Loved it. A lot of senior players. However, you can't avoid, and I think everyone's now learned, you can't avoid pressure. So you can't avoid when the pressure comes on in the Ashes 2023, the first 2 games, when it really hits you, they didn't respond very well. The India series, big moments, they didn't respond very well. Ashes, obviously, have gone wrong. This World Cup is really important for Brendan McCullum and him, because if the pressure comes down, the Super 8s, and they'd be nervy, but I don't mind them being nervy in the group games, because I think those horrible games against Nepal, Scotland, they're games you don't like playing. Italy, you don't like playing as a big nation because you can only lose. But the next week and a half is massive for this England structure, not just McCullum.
As you said about the big lads standing up in the Super 8s, you said Harry Brook want to see one of those match-winning.
Yeah. But I think if they get to the final,
does it? Does what? So it just comes down to that, does it?
Well, we said all along, and everyone says it, and we're now past it. We've all been through the stage where you get judged on results, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, of course.
And we've all done. You coach, umpire, everything comes to results, right? So we know it. So we're now sitting in the privileged position, in a nice warm, away from the pressure of it. But we said this preparation will be judged on results. This setup is judged on results, just like I was as a captain when we lost 5-0, just like when you were a captain and you won, you're judged on results. So unfortunately, for me, not unfortunately, reality is all the other bullshit.
Nature of the beast, and it's what it is.
So we're going to see this setup, if it doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't get through the next stages of this T20 World Cup, when they've been poor in white ball cricket,
where have they got to get to? Where have they got to get final?
I mean, I think at least semi-final. And if you lost by 2 runs in the semi-final, do you know what I mean? It's really close. It's a toss-up.
You've lost.
No, I think they've got to get to the final. They have to. The last question, Steve, to finish the show, community quote. It's come from Rob in Kent. Baz McCullum's gone. Who replaces him?
Who replaces him? I don't know. I really don't know, because it's where they feel as though they want to take the whole. I think you take the whole group as in what sort of brand of cricket you want. Brendan had an identity. He had a way of playing. So it's where you want that way of playing to go with the style of coach you want to come in. I don't think this team could play for Andy Flower in the same way. You know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I know exactly.
So
Andy Flintoff.
I don't think you would do it.
Okay.
I think if.
Do you think it needs to be some that
I reckon he would do it. I reckon he would do it.
Do you think you need a massive personality?
I think if at the end of this,
New Zealand, South Africa, you don't know who their coaches are.
I think at the end
Andrew
of this,
McDonald's not a massive name.
I think at the end of this World Cup, if England didn't make a decision, I would encourage them to bide themselves some time, because, like you said with Andrew McDonald, you've got Trescothick, you've got Flintoff in the system. They could get you through till the end of September. and then it buys you some thinking time. It buys you who is going to come out of
Are we
the.
going for an interim?
I
Michael
think,
Carrick.
We're going Carrick.
Carrick, yeah.
Caretaker.
I think it depends on Stokesy a little bit, because you've got stage now, you've got such a big character as a captain that coach needs to be able to sit under Stokes. If Stokes has got that mentality to going back to say, I'm doing the next 18 months, you need a coach, and not a big name coach. Someone sits on.
I'll throw a name in. I'll throw a senior.
I'll throw team names in.
I'd go. I wouldn't be against someone like Tom Moody coming for a period.
He's just done. He's signing on those big leagues.
Yeah, but ECB have got money. They're paying Baz McCullum a huge amount of money. Tom Moody, just for a couple of years.
I don't think something like Justin Langer would work.
No.
Simon Katic. There's all sorts of names you
Katic,
could throw out. Andy Flower, you've mentioned.
I don't think Ricky Ponting would
be
want to do it.
interesting.
Tom Moody, the reason why I say he's been in our system with the Invincibles, he knows a lot of our players. He's actually got teams winning over the last 2 or 3 years in white ball cricket. He knows red ball cricket, but I would have him with younger English coaches next to him. I think it's very, very important that we start producing some of our.
But if you look at Andrew Flintoff,
that's the problem with 100.
Andrew Flintoff has found life. Andrew Flintoff has done life. He's stepped away from cricket, done all sorts of things, and come back to what he does. And he's with the Lions.
Has he got enough coaching experience?
I think
he'd be fine.
Yeah, I think he'd be absolutely fine because he's got life experience.
The thing with Andrew is that Andrew, you've got this larger-than-life character who everybody thinks is.
He's not.
But I tell you what, he is obsessed by cricket. Yeah. He has got a great cricket brain. He understands the game like everybody, more than anybody else.
Andrew's a quiet bloke.
And I love the fact that he's with the Lions because what he was, largely down to the fact that you kept picking him from a young age. He was a teenage superstar that was destined to play for England from the age of 15, and then into the air tours, the national academies, and went through that way. So he understands exactly what these young players are going through. They're getting coached at their counties more often than not. So you're building an environment, and I think the environment that I believe that McCullum probably built towards the end was.
Have we seen it off, or is that it?
Him off.
McCullum's gone.
You asked who's next. Is Andrew I think Andrew would be a very, very good coach. Does he want to be the coach? That would be my issue.
If it came to in the next 2 weeks, England get kicked out, they don't win another game, right? Which is it could happen.
Absolutely.
We're up against some good teams, and McCullum has to go. I completely would go. Just give it Freddie to the end of the summer.
I will go Freddie.
Let's go Freddie. You see us out, and we'll see how it works out. You don't need to rush. We've already no mate, and I'm not disrespecting.
Andrew might say, "You're either giving it me or you're not."
Huh?
Andrew might just say, "Hey, you're either giving it me or you're not."
Well, he might do. Yeah. He's under contract till January 27 with the ECB.
Oh, good lad.
I think I'd be the other way and go, right, I'm going to put my stamp on it, and I've only got it till September. So it either works for me or I'm going to get to September and go, nah, I'm not. This is
you might not enjoy it.
Might not for me. Might be for me.
Might not enjoy it.
Anyway,
let's finish with a bit of fruit.
Yeah.
Brilliant, Steve. Thank you.
Well done, Stevie.
Thank you. That was excellent. Yeah, I like that.